Alright, well, welcome. This is my first vegan video for YouTube. It's really low tech. I'm just hanging in the kitchen. I thought because people are so focused on the vegan diet, I thought I'd start in the kitchen and do my first video in the kitchen. It's just time that I come out of the closet, if you will. Yeah, I'm a vegan. I am a vegan first and foremost, and I think a lot of vegans would probably say this if you ask them, not all, but a lot of us, and how the movement began was we did this for the animals. This is just, it's an animal rights thing for me. I've always been an animal lover, and for me it's always just going to be about that. And we don't have to eat them, and so if we don't have to eat them and put them through what they go through, then why are we doing it? You can get into health and all the health benefits involved with being vegan. You can get into the environmental, which I will in my upcoming videos. I'm gonna, break it down and, in my own words. I mean, there's a lot of vegans talking about these things on YouTube and in the world, but I just thought that, I would put it my way and say it my way and stand up and say, enough's enough. So enough's enough. We don't have to live this way anymore. There were times in history where women didn't have any rights, and they were, up until recently, they were property and they were traded for cows. In some parts of the world, they still are. The civil rights movement, there were times in history where, African Americans in this country were property, and then when they weren't property, they were, well, you're something like they have a 3/5 of a vote, and then finally they could vote, but they still had separate bathrooms. And you could say, well, come on, Mike, veganism isn't civil rights, veganism isn't women's rights. Well, you know what? It's animal rights, and they can't speak for themselves. Women could speak for themselves. African Americans speak for themselves. I mean, they were marginalized. They were, didn't have a lot of power. At least they didn't feel like they had a lot of power at the time, and they were real annoying too. Now, how vegans are so annoying. We're so annoying, aren't we? Yeah, well, I'm sure that people who were against civil rights and against women's rights found people who were for those rights real freaking annoying. They were so annoying. Why don't they just shut up about it, about women having the right to vote? Shut up about it. They have their place. Well, animals have their place too, and it's called living a full life and not being locked in a cage, So, I'm trying not to be combative and try to be open with my channel and try to understand that, I was, most of my life eating meat and consider myself an animal lover. So I know if you're non-vegan watching this, to you, I was there. So, your whole life you ate meat and eggs and dairy, and, it's normal. Everybody does it. So it's fine. You go to the store. It's legal. Clearly it's okay, right? It's okay. Because, it's legal and we do it. Well, it was legal to own people too. It was legal to do a lot of horrible things, and it was, the norm, It was the norm to own people and to split up families and steal them from their homeland and put them on boats. And, you could say again, slavery's not, animal rights. It's different. Well, yeah, okay. There are differences. Yeah, I agree. They're not exactly the same. Humans versus animals, but where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line with suffering and pain? I mean, can you tell me how a cow or a pig feels pain different than you and I, or your dog or your cat? And let's get into that. If you're a cat lover, a dog lover, do cat lovers eat cats? Do you love your cat? Do you eat cats? Do you have a dog? Do you eat dogs? Do animal lovers eat animals? So, these are the kind of topics I'm going to cover. I'm going to get into the diet, I'm going to get into all that stuff. It's uncomfortable for me in a way. I'm a kind of a jolly, happy-go-lucky type of guy who does, like, song parodies about farts and stuff. So, I, in a way, don't want to do a vegan channel. I have to do a vegan channel. I have to stand up. And I know there's other people doing it, and you could say, well, they're doing it, and they're doing really great at it. They're so great, and they are. And I'll do some videos about who I think are the greatest vegans on YouTube, because I have some favorites. I'm going to do videos about a lot of things having to do with vegan, the food, the philosophy, the reason why I did it. You know, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but there's other reasons. But the animals, what made me start it, but the world hunger, the climate change, just the unsustainability. But you know, the cruelty keeps me. You know, cruelty factor is always going to keep me coming around. I ain't going back. I'm vegan for life. So there's a lot to talk about. This is my first video. It's crude. There's no editing or fancy magic of editing. I'm in my kitchen holding my phone. But I thought I would just, you know, stand up and say, yeah, this is my vegan channel. You know, it's time. You know, it's time to say, you know, enough is enough. I'm standing up and I'm saying I'm vegan, you know, and, you know, here's why, and here's why you should be too. You know, if you're not vegan, think about it. And I'll give you some reasons why you should. And I hope you'll consider it if you're not already, or if you're a vegetarian and you're, you know, feel like it's okay, you know, I don't eat them. There's more to it than that. You know, the egg industry and the dairy industry are very, very, very cruel. They're not just a little cruel, they're real cruel. So if you're a vegetarian, for the reasons that you're vegetarian, if it's animal rights that you're a vegetarian and that's the reason, that's for that same reason you need to just come with us. Just join us, because this is a movement, and it's the future. You know, vegans are, I've seen this, so I didn't write this, but there's a saying out there, you know, vegans aren't crazy, we're from the future. You know, this is the future. And I have to tell you that it's an inevitability if we are to survive. If we are to survive, our society, our humanity, not just our humanity, but our actual survival itself, as a civilization, if we want to survive and want the earth to be able to sustain us, we all have to go vegan, or at least the vast majority of us. If you want to have some people running around the woods chasing deer with, not that I'm condoning that, but you know, a few hunters out there, you're not gonna be able to control it. But animals need to have rights. That's what the heart of the matter is. Animals need to have rights. The rest will take care of itself. Institutionalized, you know, murder and imprisonment and rape and of these innocent creatures that, you know, need our protection is not okay. So this is going to be my phrase that I kind of stole from a movie and kind of flipped it, but I don't know if I've heard anybody say this, but this is going to be my coin phrase, and I'm going to use, and I'll end the video with that, my first vegan video on YouTube, and that is that I'm vegan as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.